Good morning, students. I hope you all are doing well at your homes. And yesterday we have started a topic in grade 6 SST, the Vedic age. And today we are going to do the next part of this chapter, which is the differentiation between the early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. So, without any ado, let's get started. First, we are going to have a comparison of the literature of the early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. When you talk about literature, Rig Veda was composed during this period and serve as a source to learn and study about this period. So Rig Veda belongs to early Vedic age, and as compared to that, if you come to the later Vedic age, then Samved, Yajurved, Adharvaved means the rest of the three other um, Veds, they belongs to the later Vedic period and were composed during this period along with Upanishad. Upanishad are also the literatures from the past. Then Aranyakyas and Brahmas. It is believed that the epic Ramayana and Mahabharata, which we all are very much familiar, they are also composed during this period. So, a quick look. Early Vedic age, it is where Rig Veda was composed, and later Vedic age, it is Samved, Yajurved, Adharvaved, along with that Upanishad, Aryanyakas, Brahmas, they all are composed, and along with that Ramayana and Mahabharat also. Now come to the second part, that is political life. During this period there were many tribes, and every tribe, now this is very important, please underline, Janas. They were known as Janas. Each Jana was ruled by the chief of the tribe known as Rajan. Now please underline this also. So the head is known as Rajan and each tribe is known as Janas. The position of the Rajan means the head was not hereditary. Hereditary means it is not that if a person is a Rajan, then his or her son will also be a Rajan, right? It will be given to a person who is deserving for that post. Then Sabha and Smiti, these are very important assemblies during this time. These are the tribal assemblies that help the Rajan to take important decisions for the people in the Janas. Sabha and Smiti, you can take example like Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha these days, which are helping the Prime Minister of our country to take important decisions, right? So Sabha and Smiti is like a tribal assemblies, and women were also given full importance in this time, and women also attended these assemblies, and people gave bali, a voluntary contribution. Now here bali doesn't mean that they are sacrificing any animal or something. Here is means their voluntary contribution, that is a kind of a tax, but it was voluntary, with their own wish they are giving, made by the people in place of taxes that help in managing the Janas. Because of course if you are have to take care of a tribe, you need some money, right? Now next is political life during the later Vedic period. Now we will also compare side by side the changes that have happened, right? The kings became very powerful and the position become hereditary. Now there is a change. King is now the head is the king, and now the position become hereditary. Now king's son will become the next king, right? The tribal assemblies also disappear, means the Sabha and Smiti, remember, right? And the women's position was also deteriorated, means the position was decreased. Taxes were collected in place of voluntary bali. Now the king have decided that they will take taxes from the government in place of voluntary bali, right? The income from the taxes help the king to appoint the officials. Now these officials are taking the position of Sabha and Smiti, and they are helping the king, right? Like for example, they have given Bhaga Duga to collect the taxes, have been mentioned in the later Vedic text, right? So the king conducted many rituals and sacrifice such as Ashwamedh Yag, then Rajasuya and Vajapeya, that strengthen its influence, and it also demonstrate in different parts of the country that how powerful this king is, right? So this is the comparison between later Vedic and Vedic, early Vedic age, the political life. Now comes to the economic life. So, the people in the early Vedic period practiced agriculture and they were cattle rearers. The Rig Veda suggests that cattle formed the most important form of wealth for the people. There are frequent battles for cattle. The importance of cattle can be judged from the word that battle Gavishiti, which means search for cows. So, here in the form, you can say people were mainly the cattle rearer, and that was the main work which people were doing during this period, right? So what kind of economic life is basically the economic activities are the activity which they are doing for their livelihood, for earning money, right? So in the later Vedic period, agriculture seems to have become the main source of livelihood. So here it was mainly agriculture and more focus was with cattle rearing. Here agriculture have become the main source. It was facilitated by the use of iron tools for clearing forest and plowing. Shift from pastoral economy to the agriculture economy. Now they are no more dependent. Pastoral economy means when you are dependent mainly on cattle rearing, but now they are dependent mainly on agriculture economy. Seems to have led to the rise of other art and craft such as carpentry, weaving, jewelry making, dyeing, pottery making. There seems to have been trade. Now, here there is one difference. Now, they have started with the trade with the different regions as well. So, in this period, you can say people were doing carpentry, weaving, jewelry making, dyeing, pottery, and even trading for their livelihood. And of course, agriculture was the main source, right? Now, last comes to the social life. During the early Vedic period, the Rigveda mentioned the social classes on the basis of the type of the work people took up. It was also mentioned that the people from the same family could take up different occupations. The early Vedic society did not have class or caste distinctions based on life. So, in this period, there was less discrimination in the society, and people were not discriminated on the basis of their caste. As compared to in the later Vedic age, the things were entirely different because now the caste and class distinctions, they have become more rigid, and the society is divided into four classes based on their birth. The highest one was Brahmins, who were the teachers, who were the religious gurus. Then the Kshatriyas. Kshatriya comes with the king. Along with that, the people in the army, and the people who are the businessman class, right? Then comes the lower caste, Vaishya and Shudra. Now, these are the two lower classes which were not allowed to perform many functions in the society, like not to perform any religious practices, not to enter the temples, and they were not even allowed to take the well from the same well from where these Brahmins and Kshatriyas are taking. So, they were also considered as untouchables, right? So this was the change. In the early Vedic age it was not there, but in the later Vedic age it have started, right? Then next comes, so our later Vedic and Vedic age difference is done. Now comes with the varied cultures in India. So what are the other cultures which were prevalent in India during that very time only? While North and Northwestern India witnessed the Vedic period, right? Different types of cultures develop in different parts of India. Catholic, Chalcolithic, megalithic cultures were the two such cultures which were developed in the Deccan and in the southern part of India. So the Vedic, early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. This was on the upper side of India, like this portion, right? And these two cultures, the Chalcolithic age and the megalithic age, they were happening in the southern part of India, in the Deccan part of India. So now just read, we will read some parts of the Chalcolithic cultures also today. The Chalcolithic age is marked by the use of copper and bronze with stone. Now they have started with the copper and bronze stones along with stones, right? The Chalcolithic people built rectangular and circular houses, right, with muds and in clusters. Clusters means in groups they were making their houses. They were not acquainted with burned bricks, which were used by the people of the Vedic age. Along with that, the people of the Indus Valley civilization also they were using. But here people are using muds and they are making rectangular and circular houses. Fire worship seems to have been a very widespread phenomenon along with Chalcolithic people as fire altars, means the people are have been found in the number of Chalcolithic sites. Fire altars are basically Agni Kund, like this, where people used to burn the fire whenever they are performing any religious activity, right? The archaeological findings give indication of the system of disposal of death. Means after the death, how the dead body is disposed. The goods are found along with the burials. Burials are basically the remains of human beings who are being buried during that time. Tell us about a lot of about the customs, practices, and social setup of the Chalcolithic culture. For example, Brahmagiri, a skeleton was found with several gold beads, two stone beads, copper bangles, and a conch shell. Conch shell is basically a kind of a snail, while other skeletons have only few pots buried with them. So it indicates that some of the burials are having more things with them. Other than that, some of the burials are not having that much things with them, which indicates the difference in the social status. Maybe the people who are rich, more things are buried with them as compared to the people who are poor, right? Some may have been the people of importance. Of course, the people who are important or who are leaders, with their burials also, many things must be buried, right? Similarly, if collected burials belonging to the same period are found, it may indicate that maybe due to some tragedy or due to some sacrificial ceremony, many of the people have died together. The study of the burials remains, thus makes the study of this culture even more interesting, right? So, there are even the burials of this time told us about the social and economic structure of this economy. How interesting and wonderful these things are to study, right? So, this is all for today. The next part of the chapter, we will learn about one of the sites of the Chalcolithic age, that is Inamgao, and we will also learn about the megalithic age, right? So that's all for today. I hope you liked the video and it was helpful. For any query, you can contact me. Thank you so much.